Welcome to my YouTube channel, and today I am reviewing the Huawei P Smart 2018 in 2025. I ran a poll on which future video to make, which is using the Huawei P Smart 2018 in 2025, with 44% of users voted. I bought the phone at the car boot sale for only £3 a few weeks ago. Unfortunately, the paint at the back is chipped off, but luckily the front is in great condition with screen protection applied. The phone was announced on December 18, 2017 as Huawei Enjoy 7S and released firstly in China for 1,499 yuan for the 32GB model and 1,699 yuan for the 64GB model. It was then launched globally as Huawei P Smart in January 2018 for €249 or £229 for the 32GB model. This is available in 4 colors: black, blue, champagne gold, and China-exclusive rose gold. Successors were released, with the 2019, 2020, and 2021 versions launched. Huawei also released Honor 9 Lite around this time, with same internal specs. The phone was announced on December 18, 2017 as Huawei Enjoy 7S and released firstly in China for 1,499 yuan for the 32GB model and 1,699 yuan for the 64GB model. It was then launched globally as Huawei P Smart in January 2018 for €249 or £229 for the 32GB model. This is available in 4 colors: black, blue, champagne gold, and China-exclusive rose gold. Successors were released, with the 2019, 2020, and 2021 versions launched. Huawei also released Honor 9 Lite around this time, with same internal specs. I am booting up the Huawei P Smart, and it took 33 seconds, which is the average time to boot a smartphone. Once booted, the phone was presented with the lock screen, which means that the phone is not factory reset, so it's time to explore the abandoned phone. I see that the original owner had used the phone from late 2018 to late 2022. When opening the Messages app, I see that there are messages about the network operator, O2, as well as parcel deliveries. When opening the Photos app, I see there are lots of photos taken over 4 years, including those depicting vintage objects. I wanted to reset the phone, so I went to the Settings app and selected System, then Reset Phone, then selected the Reset Phone button to erase the original owner's content and settings. After factory resetting the phone, it's time to set up the Huawei P Smart 2018. I agreed to the terms and conditions, connected to Wi-Fi, and logged into my Google account and set up any other options mentioned. I had a problem where I encountered a 404 error, but by clicking Next, this prompts me to the Huawei ID, where I skipped. Once set up, the phone is presented with the home screen. Regarding the display of Huawei P Smart 2018, the phone has a 5.65-inch IPS display with an 18:9 aspect ratio at 2160 by 1080 pixels, making up for approximately 427 pixels per inch. The pixel display is so high that individual pixels become indistinguishable at average viewing distance. Though not OLED or AMOLED, there were almost no phones of similar price and era that have AMOLED. It is IPS, offering wide viewing angles, which is reasonable for a mid-range phone from the era. You can tune the resolution down to 1440 by 720 pixels to save battery and perform faster. Let's talk about the software of Huawei P Smart 2018. So, the P Smart 2018 shipped with EMUI 8.0 based on Android 8.0 Oreo and has received updates to EMUI 9.1 based on Android 9 Pie. It also received security updates until mid-2021. That Android version is now 7 versions behind the latest Android version, Android 16. As for the apps on the phone, there is some bloatware by the carrier provider, as well as by Huawei itself. There are some placeholder apps that need the internet to download the full apps. Unlike stock Android or iOS, the phone has page transitions. There is a decent selection of wallpapers. Let's open the stock apps. Most of its stock apps don't need internet, though some require internet. Though the Health app requires a Huawei ID account. Some of the stock apps are interesting. For example, the Mirror app, which uses the front camera as a mirror. After opening every stock apps, I'm going to uninstall the bloatware. Let's talk about Android 9 Pie and how it relates to app compatibility. Honestly, the amount of apps still supported is very surprising. Although that OS is 7 years old, a lot of apps are still compatible, and this includes most popular apps and games as well as most Google apps. So I am downloading a good variety of apps and games and updating the apps. This includes the Google Gemini, Canva, Discord, Hill Climb Racing, Temple Run, Subway Surfers, and Minecraft. Any Google app I throw at still works perfectly. Google app works as expected, as it's the latest version, with AI mode supported. YouTube videos play perfectly with no problem. YouTube Studio, although not the latest version, still works as of 2025. I had a little chat in Gemini to see if Huawei P Smart 2018 is still worth it in 2025, and Gemini advised against it, but I followed up with surprising replies. Canva also works, although with sluggish performance on initial load. Discord still works, as you expect. If you have enjoyed the video so far, please like my video and subscribe to my channel. For gaming, the phone is still capable of playing 2D and simple 3D games like Candy Crush Saga and Temple Run. For instance, Temple Run runs perfectly with good frame rates. As for Subway Surfers, it is a bit laggy at the start, but nonetheless, after warming up the shaders, it is relatively smooth. 2D games like Candy Crush Saga and Hill Climb Racing run very smoothly, though limited by 60 Hz screen, which was standard for pre-2019 mainstream phones. Let's run Minecraft, which is a relatively demanding game. At the default settings, which is 6 chunks, the game runs relatively well, with minimal to moderate stutters when moving quickly. Let's increase the number of chunks to 10, and the performance noticeably tanks down. The Huawei P Smart 2018 is powered by the Kirin 659 processor, which is also used in Huawei Mate 10 Lite, Huawei P20 Lite, and Honor 9 Lite. It is a 16-nanometer 64-bit system on a chip with 4 performance A53 cores running at 2.36 GHz and 4 efficiency A53 cores running at 1.7 GHz. It is paired with Male T830 MP2 running at 900 MHz. It is paired with either 3 or 4 GB of RAM and 32 or 64 GB of storage, with support for 256 GB microSD cards. As for the benchmarks, the P Smart 2018 scored 998 in single-core and 4,147 in multi-core in Geekbench 3, and 190 in single-core and 851 in multi-core in Geekbench. I also tried running Antutu V11 on this phone, but after 2 hours it didn't complete and I had to give up. So the real-world performance of this phone is not bad for a phone of this old. Scrolling in basic apps is fairly snappy, though as visualized earlier in this video, intensive apps or games may struggle. Let's talk about the cameras of the phone. The Huawei P Smart 2018 has a dual camera setup, which is a 13-megapixel main camera with 2.2 f-number aperture, along with a 2-megapixel depth camera, capable of 1080p video recording at up to 30 frames per second. It also has quite a lot of camera modes, including aperture, portrait, pro, panorama, AR lens, light painting, moving picture, etc. The Pro mode is full-featured, unlike budget Samsung ones, with adjustable shutter speed, and the aperture mode allows adjusting the f-number of the lens. Pictures taken by the phone still look decent enough in bright lighting, though it can suffer in low light. As I mentioned, Huawei P Smart 2018 has 32 or 64 gigabytes of storage. Approximately 9 gigabytes are used by the system. It can, in fact, be expandable using micro SD cards up to 256 gigabytes. So, is the Huawei P Smart 2018 still worth it in 2025? Aside from the fact that I bought the phone for £3 at the car boot sale, you can find the phone on the used market for around £35 on eBay, or even locked versions for even cheaper. However, it is not worth it as a primary phone because it no longer receives security updates since 2021, and the performance is on the slow side by modern standards. But it can still be a decent value as a secondary or backup phone because Android 9 Pie is still usable and compatible with most apps and supports Project Treble, allowing to install modern Android General System images. Thank you for watching, and please like the video and subscribe to my channel, and leave a comment if you still own the Huawei P Smart 2018 phone.